What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Peak Performance Engineering. I'm Brandon, and today we're going to be doing some work on my new 2022 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited Rubicon 4xe. In the last video, you guys saw that we just installed some BF Goodrich 37-inch tires onto this 22 4xe, but it's now a little bit tall, a little bit too tall, and so my two girls, who are now 7 and 9, they have a little bit of trouble trying to squeeze into this thing. So and so does my wife, honestly, even though she's like 5'7". So she's been kind of asking even for steps for her Jeep for the last year now. So I finally pulled the trigger, and I ended up picking up some steps for this thing that we're going to install, and I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the whole process right now. But before we do that, there's something else that we really have to get fixed on this Jeep. So let's go ahead and do that right now. There we go. Now it's looking a whole lot better. All right, let's get to the main video. So like I was telling you guys, we're going to be putting on some steps today, and it's going to be a pretty simple process, but basically on these Rubicons, they come with these factory rock rails, which are real nice. Back when I had a Sport, I actually had ended up picking up secondhand a set of factory Rubicon rock rails, and I bolted them on. But this covers like the factory little pinch weld, and without this on there, I think the Jeeps basically just look kind of unfinished. So it's nice having something on there. So we're gonna have to remove this, which is a pretty simple process, and then we're gonna bolt on the new steps, which I'm hoping is also pretty simple. So let me show you guys what I bought. All right, guys, so for this build, I ended up looking around online, and I didn't want to spend a whole ton of money, so I turned to where I usually turn, which is Amazon, and I ended up finding these steps from this company called Oedro, O-E-D-R-O, and they sell a bunch of different stuff on Amazon, different stuff for Jeeps and stuff like that too. So I ended up picking these up. I think they were about 300 bucks. So they were kind of in my price range, and they also have some red on them that kind of matches the Firecracker red of this particular Jeep. So that was another reason why I went with them. So let's go ahead and get it unboxed, and I'll show you guys what we're working with. All right, so first things first, I like to say that this company did a good job on the packaging, especially this has to weigh like 100 freaking pounds. It's super heavy, but the cardboard and stuff looks like they did a real good job protecting it. It's kind of a pain in the butt to get it open, which is always a good thing. But initial quality is looking pretty good. I mean, I got to get it the rest of the way out of here, but this is what I was talking about with this red. So I think that's going to be really cool. It's going to kind of match the Firecracker red, give it a little bit of an accent on each door. That's going to look pretty sweet. So yeah, but I got to get this kind of all cleaned up. Let's just make sure that the powder coat looks really good. But otherwise, these things are going to be super beefy looking and going to be pretty awesome. I probably am going to lose a little bit of ground clearance versus the factory rails here, but that should be just fine. Like I said, I don't do a whole ton of off-roading. If I do, it's just some trails up north. We're not doing rock climbing really or anything like that. So should be good to go. All right, guys. So now that I've got these things fully unboxed and I've had a chance to kind of flip them over, do a look on them, everything looks really, really good. The quality, the thickness of the coating that's on here looks great. So hopefully it holds up and, doesn't rust for several years. That's the biggest letdown when you see a cool Jeep and, they start to get these things rusting out and all that stuff. So it looks really good. The paint finish, this is probably a powder coat finish that they use on here, looks really good as well. So I'm super happy so far. Everything seems great. Real heavy duty pieces of steps, right? And they even go so far as to give you some new hardware. I'm not sure I'm going to use the new hardware since my Jeep is literally brand new. There's 500 miles on it. I'm going to try to reuse the factory hardware if I can, unless there's some differences where I need to use their hardware. But it even comes with some instructions. So if this is your first time doing this, that's going to be really awesome for you. But you just need a 13 millimeter and a 10 millimeter, and that's it. And there's really just 9 bolts. So there's just body bolt that goes up, and then 2 that go into the rocker panel. So 3 for each location times 3 locations, so 9 fasteners on each side. So this is going to be really, really simple. First step for us is to go ahead and get our Jeep on the lift. Nope, just joking. I don't have a lift. Look, I just got a regular garage just like you guys. So we're just gonna leave it out here. It's 60 degrees today. It's beautiful outside. So I'm gonna go ahead and start on this other side. We will go ahead and remove the factory rail, and then we can make way for the new steps. And then that way we can kind of do a before and after. We can kind of do a comparison and see what we lost also for ground clearance on this. And that red is gonna just match almost perfectly to this Firecracker red. So super stoked about that. I'm gonna go grab some tools and then we'll start getting off these factory rock rails. All right, so let's hop on under here. Let me show you guys what we gotta do. So let's see if the camera will kind of stay for us without switching positions. But basically, okay. So we've got 3 of these bolts that shoot up, and then we've got 9 of these little guys here that again are just 10 millimeter. These bigger guys are 13 millimeter. So very simple to take off. I'm just gonna use a deep well, and we can ratchet all of these off here all the way across. So 9 bolts, and then this whole rock rail comes right off. Very simple, guys. Alright guys, and that's it. So that took me maybe 3 minutes to get off this factory rock rail. And then you can see, just comparison wise, we basically have all the same fastener locations, all that good stuff. Now I can see right away where I am going to have to use some of the hardware that comes with the Oedro unit, because the factory unit has the studs kind of sticking out here that protrude into this I guess drip rail or body seam, whatever it is, and they don't have that. So I will have to use their bolts. That way the bolts can go through and then get captured. And these ones here, though, I probably can just use the factory bolts. I always like to use factory hardware just because it's usually higher quality than a lot of stuff that you get in the aftermarket. So yeah, it looks like this will probably be just fine here for going into the actual rail or frame or body, whatever that is, and then we'll use the other hardware up here. So yeah, so that's it. So I'm just going to go ahead and stick it into place. It probably is going to be a little bit more difficult by myself to get this thing up here because there's no studs holding this on. So we'll probably have to kind of get these bottom bolts started in place and then kind of get this going. So we'll kind of see. I'll put it on time lapse and we'll kind of try it again and see what happens. So one thing that I do want to point out is there is actually a left and a right side, and it actually tells you in the instructions. If I would have looked at them more deeply, I would have known that from the get-go. But basically, if you look at the Jeep, you can see how the drivers or the front doors are much wider than the rear doors. So of course, if you look at this a little bit more closely, this is much wider than the back door. So this is the right way, the way we've got it. So that's it. We can go ahead and bolt it on. I want to say if you flipped it around either way would work, but of course it would be weird if you had the wider kind of sill plate piece, behind the back door. So anyway, let's go ahead and try to get these bolted up and see how easy it is. All right, guys, so we got this kind of all in place. The only thing that the instructions don't mention that you will need is a 10 millimeter wrench, just to simply be able to hold the other side. On the OEM, factory rails, they have a stud that protrudes, a fixed stud, so it doesn't rotate. But since this is a bolt, you'll just need a 10 mil on this side. Then you can just simply tighten these. Everything seemed to fit just fine. The only little issue, which is not really an issue, is you can see where this bracket is just slightly bent outwards here. So all I've got to do is just tighten this, let this come back in, and then I'll have enough thread sticking out where I can put my washers back on. But otherwise, all the other ones, I got all the washers on, everything fit great. I mean, this took me all of maybe 5 minutes. So I'm just gonna go ahead and tighten them all up, and then we can have a look at how she looks. All right, you guys, and we got these things all tightened down, and they do actually, Oedro does list the torque specs for these bolts in their instructions. I think it was like 13 pound-feet, so not a whole lot of torque, but just like the originals, the OEM stuff just came off very, very easily. So not a lot of torque, but again, this was a pretty simple install. Probably took me 7 or 8 minutes to get this bolted on, so we probably got maybe 15 minutes total into this one side, so 30 minutes to do both. Very, very simple. I think the look is freaking amazing. I mean, would you just look at it, guys? It looks freaking awesome. The red matches my paint like almost perfectly. The Jeep's a little bit dirty, so it's hard to tell, but I'm in love with these things. The fitment is really, really good. So across the rail here, everything looks really even. I mean, I didn't even take any time to mess with it. I just threw the bolts in, tightened it, and it looks perfect. So really, really, really happy with it. As far as getting in the Jeep, we'll have to go pick the girls up from school and see how they like it. But I mean, I'm 200 pounds, and this thing is just rock solid. You know, for me to totally stand on it, step on it. So I think it's great. So hopefully the wife likes it. I mean, definitely it's very usable. So I think it's going to be awesome. Let me go ahead and show you guys now. Let's take a look at the difference maybe in the ground height to see what you lose with these things, because that's something to keep in mind for off-roading. Let's see what we got here. So on this side, we literally have exactly 16 inches. And let's go check the other side. 1/4 inches is what we lose from adding the rail. So 2¼ inches. Still not bad. I mean, for us going from factory 33s to 37s, we gained that anyway, so we probably still have the same clearance as we would have with a regular 33-inch tire Rubicon. But you know, now we have these awesome steps, and these also can serve as rock rails if you're on the trail as well, right? You have this kind of hitting a rock or sliding over a rock instead of your body. So pretty cool. All right, so I just picked the girls up from school, and they liked getting in with the steps, but I'm gonna let them get out and get the reaction. Girls, go ahead and hop out. So what do you think? Is it a lot better? Yeah? Yeah? A lot easier to get in? Especially for Cam, let's see. Oh yeah, nice.
That's
way easier for you guys. Perfect!
So like, if I was like this,
yep.
like if that was gone, I would have to.
Right, that's how you usually have to do it.
Standing, it's magic!
It's rock solid too.
Yeah.
Super sturdy. All right, awesome. All right, you guys, here it is all completed. And I don't know about you guys, but I think it just looks freaking awesome. I mean, the red is almost exactly spot on to the Firecracker red. I couldn't be happier with that. And really, I think on these JLs, having like steps like this that kind of protrude down, it just makes the Jeep look way more badass. I love it with the 37s, with the steps on there. Let's check out this grill we got put on. I mean, look at this Jeep. It's just bad to the friggin' bone. I love it. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the link down below for these Oedro steps if you wanna check them out on Amazon. Like I said, I think they were just about $300, so pretty awesome. Now that my wife actually came out and checked these out, and she's super jealous, so she wants me to get another set for her Jeep. So now I gotta spend another $300 probably to get her a set. But I'm looking forward to it. I think it's gonna just make her Jeep look super awesome too. So I'm not too worried about it. But yeah, I'm gonna go enjoy these new steps and the grill, and finally got that all done. So if you haven't, check out some of my other videos. I have like probably 10 other Jeep videos, if not more. We have our death cart project, my 65 Mustang, and some power sports stuff as well. So if you're looking for some steps or some side rails, I think these are a good option for sure. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.